So these are the things which we have discussed in the last class. So we have discussed about the various terms in estimation, okay, namely plinth area, floor area, carpet area, etc. So we have also seen the importance and accuracy in estimation, okay, how accurate it should be, and also various errors in estimation and various types of estimates, okay, and where we are going to use them. Okay, this is what we have seen in the last class. In today's class, we are going to see these lecture outcomes. Okay, we will be able to identify various technical terms in estimation. So there are some technical terms, namely contingencies, work charge establishments, tools and plans, etc. So those technical terms we are going to discuss today, and we will be able to describe what quantity surveying is and the role of a quantity surveyor. And next, state various rules and methods of measurement. So these are the three lecture outcomes which we are going to achieve today. So by the end of this lecture today, we are going to complete the first unit, and we are also going to have a review on it. So let us go into the technical terms first. The first one is contingencies. So contingencies are incidental expenses of miscellaneous character which cannot be categorized into a distinct item. Okay, so we can't describe that into a particular subhead. Say for example, it is under say material side or labor side, we can't pertain. Okay, it is an incidental expenses. So when you are building up something, so building a project, there we are going to get some incidental expenses. So such incidental expenses are termed as contingencies, okay, which we cannot be classified and we cannot estimate that also. Okay, such things will be taken as lump sum amount, this much amount. So usually these technical terms which I am going to say now, those are taken as a lump sum amount of say 2%, 3%, 1.5%, something like that. So that in the overall cost, they are going to put this as contingencies, and they won't be classifying anything. This much amount of labor, this much amount of material or extra expenses. So those things will come under these contingencies. Okay. So for this, what we need to have is we need to have a 3 to 5% of the estimated cost. Say your estimated cost is some 100 rupees, then 3 to 4 rupees, 3 to 5 rupees should be your contingencies. Okay. So contingencies for any project, for any estimation, when you are doing at the end of your project, you need to take a technical term contingencies, and you need to allot 3 to 5% of your total cost. Okay, so that is contingencies. Next is work charged establishments. Work charged establishments can be termed as the charges which works directly during the cost of the project. See, it can be the chowkidars or the supervisors. We will need to pay some salaries for them, which can be paid from these work charge establishments. Okay, so some classifications. Say for example, if you want to install your electrical board, so for that you cannot estimate the same thing in your estimation when you are doing. So these are not direct expenses. Okay, so almost kind of an indirect expenses, but they will be turned as a project. We need to include them. Okay, so generally 1.5 to 2%, whereas the previous contingencies is 3 to 5%. Okay, contingencies will be more, whereas work charge establishments will be somewhat less compared to them. Okay, next one is tools and plants. So when you are executing a large projects, we need some tools and plants. What is tool and what are plants? You can see this. So generally tools will be arranged by the particular contractor. Say if it is a mason, he can arrange all the what we call as a brushes or hammers, okay, etc. These kind of tools or the immediate expenses, these can be taken care of by the PMC, project management consultancy. Okay, so the small things, these are called tools. Okay, these tools can be directly be paid by the contractor or the particular worker. Okay, whereas the plants here is not the real term of plants. It is kind of a batching plant. When you go for a batching plant, and I will show you a diagram later. So I will show you the real picture of a batching plant. So in a batching plant, we are going to mix the whole concrete. Okay, you need to mix the cement, you need to mix the sand, post aggregate water, and admixtures, etc. So we need to establish them. Okay, if it is a big project, then definitely we need to go for these kind of plants, so that they might not be using the mixers or hand mixers, something like that. So they are going to use some high rise equipment, something like JCBs, or these batching plants, and machinery plant, like we can say it as mechanical machinery plants, where they are going to bend these rods. Okay, the reinforcement part, when you are going for bar bending schedule, we will learn. So such kind of things required some machinery. Okay, so those are called plants. So these tools and plants also require some additional amount if it is a large project. Okay, generally we are going to utilize this. So but anyhow, for tools and plants also we are going to give something. So along with these tools, we need to give that means 1 to 1.5% of the estimated cost should be considered for tools and plants. So initially it is 3 to 5 for contingencies, 1.5 to 2 for work charge establishments, and here it is 1 to 1.5. So these expenses are 3 are additional. So these are some technical terms which we need to add at the end of your estimation, so that the total cost must contain these 3 things. Okay, if it is a large project, we can include this, or else we can also include this, no problem as of now. Okay, so these are some of the technical terms. So along with that, there is another one, that is the schedule of rates, which we have discussed earlier. So schedule of rates can be material, or it can be labor. Okay, so when it comes to materials, there are various things like cement, sand, bricks, wood, steel, whatever it might be. Okay, so all these materials comes under the material head. We'll call it as material head, HEAD, head. Okay, and this is called labor head. So different types of labor have different types of pricings. So I think I've already asked you people to submit some assignments. So that assignment I will tell at the end of the presentation what we have to do. So I think many of you have submitted me regarding various SSR reports of various states, various places. Okay, uh, so I will share you one of the thing also, one of the estimation also with you, one of the SSR report also. Okay, so these types of labor, say for example here painter, here is a planner. Okay, he is an electrician, something like that. Okay, so these people will have different types of prices. Okay, that is wages. Okay, so at the same time, the price variation of cement and sand at some location and different same location and different locations will be very very crucial while considering the SSR reports. Okay, so this, it is a list of rates of various items of work to facilitate the preparation of estimate. So before preparing the estimate, we need to know the rates. So without knowing the rates, we can't go for the estimation. Okay, so it is generally maintained by the engineering departments of that particular state governments. So and printed in a form of a book called SSR or SOR. Okay, SOR is schedule of rates, SSR is standard schedule of rates. Okay, we can call it either way. So next one is quantity surveying. So it is a primarily centered on construction and the management of costs and budgets of large projects. So generally, when you are doing large projects, we need a quantity surveyor to do things which are unclear. Okay, we need some clarity from the beginning, from the starting of the project. Say when you are estimating the things, when you are tendering the things, when you are awarding the contract, and then assigning him the work and doing the work. So throughout that process, there will be a quantity surveyor, so that he can maximize or minimize the things regarding labor or materials. Okay, so from the moment of a plan is not until a large construction project is completed. So from the initial point to the final point, a quantity surveyor is likely to be involved in legal, technical, and financial capacity. Okay, so in all these three things he will be involved. Okay, so quantity surveyor is very very essential, especially for large construction projects. So he might be doing any sort of work. He can be doing calculations, he can be doing manual works or design plans, or any kind of schedulings. Okay, all these things are done by a quantity surveyor. Okay, usually quantity surveyors, see, NICMAR is giving 1 year course on quantity surveying. So many people are also going after BTech for that. So uh, so that is one of the thing which quantity surveyors do. Okay, so this is about quantity surveying. And so yeah, so this fellow has to see that the project remains profitable and efficient. So if there is any a sort of inefficiency, say for example, can someone say me this: when you are preparing a project and say up to 50 or 60% of work is completed, and you have revised you have revised the entire estimate, and the cost of construction has been beyond the limit. Okay, you said it is 30 lakhs and 30 lakhs have been completed up to 60% of completion. Okay, then what we need to do? We need to do something. We need to we need an estimate there. What type of estimate it is? Can someone share it in your comments box? Yeah, very good. 120, very good. So it is revised estimate. Okay, so revised estimate. If you want to know the next cost also, then we will call it as supplementary, and it is revised supplementary also. Okay, so this is a revised estimate. So such kind of things will be determined by this quantity survey. Okay, so next one is various rules of measurement. So generally IS 1200. So this is the code for the rules of measurement for various quantities of work. Okay, so in the last class also we have discussed about the some of the rules, like how much error will be in the length, how much error will be in the area, how much error will be in the volume. Okay, so coming to the measurement, so it can be the finished item of work. A description of each item shall include materials, transport, labor, fabrication tools. So for example, if I am saying cement concrete, CC, if I am saying cement concrete, then the cement concrete must include, how say cement, how many number of cement bags. Okay, how much amount is for the transportation of that particular cement bags, transportation. Okay, if there is any work charge establishment for that particular thing. Okay, so you need to combine all these things. Okay, you need to combine all these things, and then we need to calculate the how much amount of cement concrete is there. So that we need to that final thing we need to do. Or else if you are doing just the cement price, and if you are doing, then the estimate will go wrong. So being an estimator, we need to consider all these things beyond the work. Okay, if you are talking about cement concrete, then you should be able to know what are all the incidental expenses or the miscellaneous expenses that are present in that particular kind of a work, and then include that, and then you need to say the cost. Okay, so that is about the one of the rule of measurement. So you need to include the transport, labor, fabrication tools and plants, etc., and the overheads. If there is any overhead charges, for that overhead charges, generally overheads are given for construction people, especially in concreting. When you are doing large projects, concreting, some overheads will be there. An additional amount should be paid there. So these kind of things can be included in work charge establishments. Okay, so for finishing the work, we need this shape, size and specification, that is plan, elevation, section. So all these things we need, and the specification, detailed specification. If it is cement concrete, what type of cement is required, or what amount, what is the size of the sand particles. Okay, what is the proportion of cement concrete. So these all these specifications are also required. So this is one of the rules of measurement. And next one is, in booking, the order shall be in a sequence of length, breadth and height, as I have already discussed in the last class. So when you are entering the details in your measurement book, we will call it as a measurement book. In the measurement book, it should be in the order of length, breadth and height or thickness. Okay, so in that order only it should be there. So these things I think we have already covered in the last class. So lengthwise there should be there is a tolerance of just 0.01 meters, okay, and if it is area it is just 0.01 meter square, and if it is volume or cubic contents it is 0.01 meter cube, okay. So these are some of the rules of measurement, and some other rules are also there. So same type of work under different conditions and nature shall be measured separately under separate item. So this I will discuss in the iPad. So next one is the bill of quantities shall fully describe the materials, proportions, workmanship, and accurately represent the work to be executed. So BOQ, we'll call it BOQ is bill of quantities. Okay. So this the bill of quantities should describe the materials, what is the proportion of it. Workmanship is labor, and also accurately represent the work to be executed. That means it can be the materials or the it can be the miscellaneous items, so which need for the particular work, okay. So we need to mention all these things in the measurement. So if it in case of a masonry or masonry or a brick masonry wall, you can take an example. I will show you that. Okay. So I'm talking about the things which are almost the same. Say for example, there we have shown masonry. Masonry. Masonry in the sense it can be by brick or stone. Brick or stone. Okay. So if you can see here, the bottom portion, the bottom portion, the foundation part. Okay. If you are going for the foundation here, okay, there we are going to construct a masonry wall. Okay, this is a masonry wall, not straight actually. So this is a kind of a type. Okay, and second, if you are taking the wall on the first floor, say I will take here. This is one type, and the last one, take it here, the second floor, third floor. Okay, if you can see different types of work. See, if I say brick masonry work, it is not the same for everything. Okay, it differs from where it is going to be placed. If it is in the foundation, if it is in the foundation, the specifications might be different. Okay, you can say the cement mortar is 1:4 or 1:5, something like that. When you are going for the first floor, you can say it as 1:5. That means the proportion of cement is to sand has been changing. If you are going here, say you can again say 1:3 or 1:2. So it all depends on the type of construction and also the type of brick we are using. See, if you want to go for foundation, some people mostly they will use the brick mass, the burnt bricks in a kiln. Burnt bricks they are going to use. That is the usual size which you have seen, 19 by 9 by 9 centimeter size. Okay. Say for example, if you are going for some kind of a partition wall, here we might be using cement concrete bricks or fly ash bricks. Okay. So the entire proportions have been changing. The materials are changing. Even the proportions of mixing is changing. So you can't say brick masonry is same for everything. Okay. So this is what I want to conclude from this. So the masonry can be by stone or brick or doesn't matter. It won't be the same for every item of work in the building. If you are using it in the foundation, it is a different part. If you are using it in the first floor, it is different part. If you are using it in the second floor, it is different part. So we need to clearly mention what type of work we are doing. Okay, at what sort of thing we are using. So then we can easily know. Okay, say if you are seeing here, there is a lift here. The lift here. Okay, here some portion might be we are using brick masonry, and the remaining portion say here there will be a beam, and here there will be a beam. In between we need to go for brick masonry. So the same condition won't be the same for here, the foundation part. Okay, the foundation part we can't go for like that. Okay, So these load bearing capacities and these load bearing capacities are completely different. Okay, so we need to carefully see the measurements part, that how effective we should be. Okay, so when you are considering the materials of different items of work, we need to be very clear about where we are going to use that. It can be brick masonry. Here I am going to here I have taken brick masonry. The same thing you can go for concrete. Okay, the same thing if you are going for concrete. If you are going for concrete, you check here the top the bottom portion, that is foundation concrete. Foundation concrete is usually of M20 grade, M30 grade. Okay, when you are moving up, it can be slabs. If you are going for slabs, we will go with M25 or M20. That is enough. Okay, the reason for this is the foundation should be as strong as possible. Okay, this is the one which is bearing all the load. Okay, and the slab is the one which is transferring the load to the foundation. So it can be somewhat on a lighter note. Okay, when you are considering this foundation concrete, it should be in a higher grade. So the same, both are slabs or both are of concrete, but the thing is that as both are concrete, we can't term it as a single term. So it can be 1:2:6, 1:1.5:3, something like that. Okay, the proportions might change for both these things. Okay, that means the proportions, that means material quantities are changing, material specifications are changing, and also the cement used is changing. Okay, cement which we are using is changing. So we need to be very careful when you are estimating the quantities of each item of work. We need to specify where it is being used. If you are to say brick masonry, where we are using. If it is in the foundation concrete, it is of different specification. If you are doing it in the first floor, it is different. If you are using it as a partition wall, it is different. If you are using it as a walls for your washroom or a bathroom, then that the specifications might be different. So you need to be very clear when we are going to use this particular thing. Okay, so this is what I want to show here. So that's what this says. So when you are using it at a plinth level or first floor level or second floor level, the specification, the entire specification and the particular item of work will be changing depending upon the type of work. Okay. So this is basically a stone masonry wall, and this is a brick. These are some bricks. Okay, please. So coming to the methods of estimation. Okay, coming to the final methods of estimation, I've already discussed. There are two types of methods where we are going to estimate the items of work of different categories. First one is long wall, short wall method. So in this method, we can see here. So we will consider you consider this as a top view or a plan of a building of a single room. Okay, this is a single room. So the door might be somewhere here. Okay. So this is the door. Okay, so this is a room and we need to estimate the building. Okay, then what we need to do is either we need to go for two methods. One is the long wall short wall method, another is the center line method. In the long wall short wall method, what we will do is we will choose which walls are long, which walls are short. Okay, you can clearly see this part, the length part is the long wall and the shorter one is the short wall. Okay, so this will be considered, these two will be considered as long walls. So here we will take the out to out distance. Remember again, the out to out distance of long wall we will consider. Okay, so someone is starting. Narendra, if you can see someone's message, if it is important, please let me know. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, fine. So you consider this as two long walls. So we have got two numbers of long walls. Okay, and then we are going to take the out to out distance of these long walls, okay, and then determining the quantities of these items. Okay, so from here we are going to start to the foundation part or to the superstructure level. Okay, so here we are going to start this. So this is the long wall, and coming to these two things, this is short wall, where we are going to take the in distance, not out to out. So this portion has been already covered. Okay, this portion has been already covered. This particular portion has been already covered in long wall. So here we are going to take into in length, not out to out length. Here into in length. Okay, so this is out to out length and this is into in length. So this is about long wall short wall method. I will explain it in a detailed manner when we are going for the methods, but just for introduction part I am saying it. Okay, just have a gist of it on an overall. Okay, so this is how long wall short wall method will be done. We will consider the longest wall as the long wall and shortest wall as a short wall. Okay, and then we are going to take the out distance of long wall, into end distance of short wall, and then proceed with the items of work which we need to estimate. Okay, so next one is the center line method. In the center line method, in the center line method, the same, if you are considering the same room, same single roomed building. Okay, here, see here, the entire center line part will be measured. Okay, now there is no long wall, there is no short wall. The entire the center line of the walls will be measured, and then that multiplied with that particular quantities will be giving you the quantity of that particular item of work. So here we are going to measure the center line. So center line method is the easiest one and the quickest one to determine the quantities of each item of work. Okay, so these are the two methods, long wall short wall method and the center line method. So these are the two methods which we are going to use in our estimation. Okay, first we will see about long wall short wall method and then center line method. Okay, if anyone is having any sort of doubt till now, you can ask me. Sir, same thing is happen in load bearing work. 105 Ramu, unmute yourself. 105.
Sir.
Yeah, what is your doubt, Ramu?
Sir, in foundation, సార్ మీరు ఏం చెప్పారంటే పైన సైజ్ తగ్గిస్తారని అన్నారు కదా సార్.
ఎందులో అమ్మా?
అంటే ప్రతిదానికి ఒకటే చేయరు కదా అని అన్నారు కదా సార్.
అవునవును, యా కరెక్ట్.
ఇప్పుడు లోడ్ బేరింగ్ వాల్స్ అయితే కూడా అలాగే చేస్తారా సార్?
లోడ్ బేరింగ్ వాల్స్ అయితే కనుక జనరల్ గా ఫస్ట్ ఫ్లోర్ సెకండ్ ఫ్లోర్ వరకే ఉంటాయి అవి, అండ్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ అవి సేమ్ గా ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ ద load bearing capacity will change. The bottom portion we are going to have a larger thickness, the top portion we are going to have a lesser thickness. The wall thickness which we are having, manaki wall thickness paina edaithe untundo kinda adu undadu, inka peddadu untundi annamata foundation part. So that is what I am saying. So even the specification, cement mortar madhyalo place chesedi kuda it will change. Okay, the cement mortar which we are going to place in between those bricks will be of highest quality if it is foundation. It will be a somewhat lesser quality if you are going up. Okay, that not lesser in the sense not cheaper. That means say 1:6, 1:5, 1:4, that might change. Okay, the proportions might change. So that's what I'm saying. So if at all if there is any proportion change, then we need to clearly mention in your estimate that this is foundation 1.5, this is superstructure, this is 1.4. We need to clearly mention, and then the quantity of materials required for that also change. Okay, did you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is there anyone who is having any sort of doubt? Okay, H1. Yeah, H1, tell me.
Sir, AAC blocks ni load bearing walls కింద వాడొచ్చు sir.
AAC blocks, very good question.
ఇప్పుడు కొత్తగా AAC
very good. Yes, I will explain it.
వాడుతున్నారు కదా sir.
Yes, we should use. I will tell you that. I will show you that in my iPad. Okay, how it will be. I will remember that question. Okay, now I will connect to that and I will tell you. Okay. Next, 113. Unmute. H1, mute yourself. 113. Unmute.
Sir, center line method is suitable for RCC framed building also, na, sir?
Yeah, mostly that will be suitable for RCC frame. Generally, actually, load-bearing walls are the oldest type of constructions. Nowadays, we can't see load-bearing walls. Almost everything is RCC frame structures. Okay, first we will go with columns, and then beams, slab, and then we will go for walls. But in load-bearing wall, what they will do is they will go over the wall first, and then beams, and then slab. There won't be majority. There won't be any kind of columns. Okay, nowadays
But
we can't see that. Tell me.
when we are measuring the center line, the columns will obstruct, no, sir, for RCC framed building.
No. So for very good. Actually, very good question. Actually,
Corners, sir. Yes,
very
sir.
good. Very good. What we will do is we will deduct that from the entire part, and the lateral says what we will do is we will do some deductions. Okay, that also I will show it now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So
Okay,
two
sir.
questions. One guy asked me about AAC blocks, and you asked me about these deductions. Very good. And any other questions? I will be happy if you ask me more questions. Okay. I'll be very happy if you ask me more questions. Okay. Someone asked me about AAC block. AAC is autoclaved AC. Autoclaved aerated concrete. So generally, autoclaved aerated concrete block AAC blocks will be very light. Okay, these are very light in weight. Okay, and these are capable of bearing a compressive strength 2 to 3 times greater than normal cement concrete block. Okay, so it generally carries 2 to 3 times. Some carry much more than that. That is because of the less porous concrete. Okay, here they are going to use the less porous concrete. Thereby, it will not allow anything to go into this. Thereby, making it more durable also. This is more durable than normal concrete. The thing is that whenever there is cement, there will be hydration. Okay, there will be hydration. When there is hydration of cement, okay, we will call it as C2S, C3S, C4AF, C3A. Allied bellet, pellet. I think you know it. So when these things react with water, they form hydration of cement. So because of these things, the cement block will not possess much strength than that of autoclaved aerated block. Autoclaved aerated concrete, what they will have is they will have a much lighter structure than that of this, and this will have a content of cement much less than that again. Cement will be very less. Okay, and the usage of admixtures, mineral admixtures like fly ash, GGBS, silica fume will be very high in this. So because of this possesses more strength than this and also more durability. Okay, so because of this more durable nature, these things can be used in your construction. Okay, you can use it for any kind of load bearing wall or RCC frame structure. Okay, I think 113 or someone who is clear with this particular doubt. And the other guy, what he asked me, yeah, I remember. So he asked me, so if you are taking the walls like this, you have columns in between. So how can you do this? So initially what we will do is, we will not consider this particular initially we are not going to consider this particular column. So what we will determine is, we will determine that as a wall. So you found out that particular quantity as length into breadth into height. We have taken the long wall part. And we have determined what long wall is. Long wall is equal to some 12 meter cube, something like that. And coming to short wall part, okay, it is some 6 meter cube. Okay, in total we are having 18 meter cube. Okay, so then what we will do is, then we will consider what are all the deductions we need to make. Deductions which we can make. That means it can be at the door point here. This portion is door, and as this guy said, these are 4 columns at 4 corners. Say each column is of some, say here I am going to take it as some 2 meter cube. So not 2 meter cube, 0.2 meter cube as a single column volume. Okay, that for that particular length and breadth, multiplied by 4, that is 0.8 meter cube. This is one of the deduction for columns. And then again for this door is one door into say 1 meter cube, that is also 0.1 meter cube, that is 0.1 meter cube. Okay, so 18 meter cube minus 0.8 meter cube and then 0.1 meter cube. So totally deducted we will get 17.1 meter cube. Okay, so this is the total quantity of brick masonry work. So here we are going to deduct all the walls or all the openings, whatever it might be. We are going to deduct all these things. Okay, so this is how we are going to do that. Yeah, doors and windows, I think I have explained it now. Doors and windows both we can deduct. Yeah, for example, I'm saying we have many deductions. We have lintels as deduction, we have many things as deduction. We have shelves, we have some exhaust fan openings. So there are many deductions. Not only this, there are cupboards. So such kind of deductions will be there. We will see it in the lateral sections. Okay. So yes, there are many deductions apart from this. Sir, which is the best for AAC or not? Which is best for AAC or normal bricks? Okay. Red clay and AAC, which is best? Okay. Very good. So for construction, very good. So see, generally it depends on the usage. Okay, we need to consider 2 things. First one is cost, and second one is your type of construction, and the third one is your strength. Okay, see, if you don't have much cost, we can go for AAC blocks are somewhat costlier than the normal brick. Some normal brick costs some 5 to 6 rupees, whereas AAC block, each block might cost some 50 rupees or 60 rupees. Okay, so if you are affordable, then we can go for AAC blocks. Okay, see, if you are going for a temporary structure, then you shouldn't use AAC blocks. That is of no use. Then we can go for third type of bricks. There are 3 types of bricks again: first class, second class, third class. Okay, and then overburnt bricks, heavily burnt bricks. There are many types of bricks. So we can use such kind of a type. So it all depends on the type of construction. If you are asking me, sir, I'm going for G plus 30 floors, then what type of brick I should use? Then also you should use this kind of AAC blocks. Okay, if at all, if you are going with normal brick, what will happen is the cost of labor will increase, the transportation cost will increase. Okay, So the chances for AAC blocks to break is very less compared to your normal bricks. The normal bricks get broken when it is transported, when it is lifted, okay, when it is used. Okay, there are many kind of things. So when you are going for large constructions, it is better preferably you use AAC blocks or these kind of admixture related blocks. Okay, some cement concrete related blocks or admixture related blocks are completely used for heavy projects. Okay, even for normal projects also we can use, but the thing is that it all depends on your budget. Very good question again from one of the person 107. Is column width and wall width the same? No. Many times it is no. Generally, wall width will be 9 inches by 9 inches. Okay? So it won't be the same. For convenience, I have given you that. But the thing is that there will be an extra thing. Okay, I will show it in the screen again. See, if you are looking at this particular thing, here the column width will be something like this. Actually, this. Okay. If you want to deduct, this portion is of no use because this is concrete. This is concrete, and only you need to consider this portion alone. This portion. So this particular portion is excess. Sorry. This particular portion is excess. Okay. So it all depends on the size of the column. For convenience sake, I have taken this. Okay, this portion I have taken for convenience sake. But the thing is that it will be of oversized. Okay. Generally, the column, the maximum, mostly the residential building will have a size of 9 by 9. 9 inch by 9 inch. Okay. So that is the only difference here. Okay. 9 by 9. So here it can be something like, sometimes the column it can be 12 by 9, 18 by 12, sometimes bigger than that also. Okay. So when you are going for this type of sizes, yes, this can be fixed in wall. When you are going for this type of walls, this can't fit in this. So there will be an additional size. Yes, very good question. So other than that, Narendra, are you clear with that? Okay. Is there any doubts other than that? So now we are going into the more detailed part. So everyone, please be attentive. Okay. Can everyone? I think everyone can see the screen. Okay. So this is about some of the details of a measurement book. So this is how a measurement book will look like. So it will have a serial number. It will have at the description or item of work, and it will have how many numbers it is having, and the measurements, namely length, breadth, and height. So in the rules of measurement, we have seen the length, breadth, and height should be in a sequence. Okay, length and then breadth and then height or thickness. Next is the quantity. Quantity is length multiplied by breadth multiplied by height. Okay. So that is your quantity. And the total quantity is, if you are having long wall and short wall, here you are going to get the quantities, and then total quantity will be displayed here. If you are having long wall here, short wall here, and then you are going to display it here. Okay. So, and if there is any remarks, we are going to write that remarks. Okay. So this is about the measurement book. Okay. Measurement book will be somewhat like this. Okay. So for a simple problem, I would like to solve this here. I think you can see the structure here. This is a simple foundation. This is a simple foundation. I will consider this as the ground level. This as my ground level. Okay. And I think you are clear, right? This is the side view, and this is the top view. This is the plan, and this is the section. This is section, and this is your plan. Okay. So in the section, what we are going to get is we are going to get the length and height. From the plan, you are going to get the length. Length also, here also you can get the length, and along with that we are going to get the breadth, length and breadth. So here you are going to get the length and height, and from here you are going to get the breadth. So length, breadth and height multiplied together, we will get the quantity. Okay, it can be any quantity. So we will consider here. So for doing this, I will estimate two quantities, namely earthwork excavation and foundation concrete. Okay, here we are not having any long wall or short wall. I am going to write here. Okay, so first one, description of item is earthwork excavation. Earthwork excavation. Numbers are one number, only one foundation, right? So we need length, breadth and height. So I said earlier, so this is the plan part and this is the cross section of the. So for finding out earthwork excavation, what we will do is we are going to draw a empty foundation trench. We'll call it as empty. Empty is nothing. Empty foundation trench. We need to consider like this, empty foundation trench. Okay. So here see this part. If you are not filling with this with concrete, then also we need to excavate this. So that's why we need to consider that also. So this part I am going. This entire part I am drawing it here. Okay, I am drawing here. Okay. So this is the foundation concrete part, and the bottom part I will consider this as 100 mm. Okay, and so not 100 mm, 100 centimeters. 100 mm is very small. centimeters. I will consider the height as 90 centimeters. Okay, so the total here, if you consider, it is 90 centimeters, and the bottom portion is 100 centimeters. Okay, so we have got the length and height. The length is 100 centimeters. So it is 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So I think we can write it here. Generally, we will take them as meters, all the things. So 1 meter, and the height is 90 centimeters. That is 0.9. Okay, and then the breadth. So from again, do you remember, from the cross section we will obtain length and height, and from the plan of the building we are going to get the breadth. Okay, so here he has taken, you just don't remember this. I'm taking it for this. So and the top view where we can have the plan. So here the length we consider it as 100 centimeters. Okay, so here we are going to get the length and the breadth also. So here this is breadth. We say it as 100 centimeters again. So length and breadth is 100 by 100 centimeters, and the height is 0.9 meters. Okay, so it is 1. So this is also 1. So the total quantity will be L into B into H. 1 into 1 into 0.9. That is 0.9 meter cube. So the total quantity is also 0.9 meter cube. Okay. So this is earthwork excavation. That means this whole part from the top, you can see here, from the top to the bottom, we need to excavate this box. So this box is of dimension 100 by 90 by, again here we have got B as 100 centimeters. So 100 by 100 by 90. So 1 into 0.9, that is 0.9 meter cube. So this much amount of earthwork is to be excavated in order to build this foundation. Okay, I think everyone is clear up to this part. Okay. So the next one is the foundation concrete. Second one is foundation concrete. Foundation concrete. So the numbers are 1 again, and we need the length, breadth and height. Okay, foundation concrete is this part, the bottom part. Okay, okay. So for this we need to consider this part and this part alone. So you all know that this is 100 centimeters. Okay, 100 centimeters, and we don't know the thickness of the foundation concrete. Here the foundation concrete can't be the same as that of earthwork excavation. Earthwork excavation is 90 centimeters, but up to this portion we are not going to do your concreting. Okay, we are doing it only for this portion, the bottom portion we are going to do. Okay, so we need to consider only the bottom portion alone. So we need to get the length is 100 centimeters. You consider this as say some 30 centimeters. Okay, and you also know the breadth is the top view. Again here the breadth is the same. So where up to what point the earthwork excavation will be, up to that length and that breadth the foundation concrete will be there. So this is what we need to remember when you are calculating earthwork excavation and foundation concrete. These two things, those are similar in length and breadth mostly. Okay, only the height varies. So a height of earthwork excavation is more. Okay, so this is 30 centimeters, this is 100 centimeters, and here the breadth is 100 centimeters. So if you are going here again for the calculations part, so the length is 1 meter, the breadth is 1 meter, and the height is 0.3. So the quantity is 1 into 1 into 0.3, so 0.3 meter cube. So 0.3 meter cube. Okay, so here we have got the quantity. Okay, so after getting the quantity, we need to go for the total quantity of this particular items. So total is 1.2 meter cube. Okay, can anyone say me, can we combine these two or not? Can anyone say me whether what I have done here, is it correct or not? If it is correct, why correct? If it is wrong, why wrong? You can say it in the chat box. Correct. Wrong. Why wrong? 122. Co-host, can you unmute 122? Why wrong? Please unmute 122. 19B 95A 0122. Can you unmute him? He said wrong. Why wrong? You can't do it, Narendra. You are co-host, right? Okay, I will stop sharing this and yeah, 122. Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why it is wrong?
నెట్వర్క్ అనేది తీసేసాం సార్, మనం అది ఫిల్ చేసాం, రెండు ఎందుకు కలుపుతాం సార్?
వై కాంట్ బి, అంటే ఎందుకు మర్జ్ చేయలేము మనము, ఎందుకు మర్జ్ చేయొద్దు? నువ్వు చేయొద్దు చేయకూడదు అన్నావు కదా, వై వి షుడ్ డూ?
మర్జ్ చేయడం వల్ల మనకి ఎటువంటి యూజ్ ఉంది సార్?
వెరీ గుడ్, ఎస్, అబ్సల్యూట్లీ. నో కో-హోస్ట్. సరే, Narendra, I made you the co-host, okay? I'm going back to the screen presentation and I will clarify this. Okay. So actually what happened is, here this is earthwork excavation, where the earthwork excavation is completely related to some sort of soil or sand. Okay. Here in the foundation concrete, the major parts are cement and coarse aggregate and sand, fine aggregate. Okay. So these items of works are different and these items of works are different. Okay. So the quantity of earthwork and foundation concrete shouldn't be merged. Okay. They should be calculated individually and their cost will be done individually, and hence the total shouldn't be done here. Okay. For example, in foundation concrete we have a long wall and so quantity. You have a short wall and it has a so and so quantity. These two you can merge. These two we can merge here. Okay. So this part we shouldn't do because earthwork excavation is different and foundation concrete is different. So when the change in the things, even what I said in the just some 1 hour ago, so I said like the masonry walls of foundation concrete and the masonry walls in the second floor or third floor are completely different. The proportions will be different. Okay. Where you can merge the quantity if you want to get the number of bricks, but when you are going with the proportion you can't go. So for that you need to go for a separate thing. Okay. We need to do it separately and the calculation should be done separately. Okay. That shouldn't be merged at any cost. Okay. So this is the major thing which we need to know when you are doing this. So did everyone get this earthwork excavation foundation? Just for example I did that. Okay. I think everyone got this particular point. Or is there any doubt? I think someone raised their hand. Sir, earthwork excavation ki separate cost and quantity separate cheyali sir. Yeah. అంటే earthwork excavation ki separate cost ఉంటుంది, దీనికి separate cost ఉంటుంది. So yeah, definitely it will be different, not the same. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to talk to me? Okay, done. So this is about the details of the measurement book which we need to see when you are going for the measurement book. You need to carefully see what are all the things we are describing in this. Say for example, instead of one number there is 10 numbers. You unfortunately forgot 1 or 0, then the entire quantity will be wrong. So you need to be very, very careful when you are estimating the things. Okay. When you are calculating the quantities also you need to be very, very careful. Okay. So that's it. That is about this. So coming to our presentation. So these are the outcomes which we have achieved today. So we have discussed about some technical terms. What are all the technical terms here? We have talked about contingencies. We have talked about work charge establishments, and we have talked about tools and plants. We have talked about schedule of rates. Okay, these are all the expenses or the technical terms. Okay, so you need to remember how much amount of contingencies should be there. 3 to 5% and 1.5 to 2%, sorry, 1 to 1.5 to 2%, and 1 to 1.5%. So these percentages should be remembered. Okay. So for any item of work, these things should be added at the end. Okay. So next one is we have described quantity surveying and importance of quantity survey is also explained, and various rules of measurement and also the methods of measurement of work, namely the center line method and long wall short wall method has been explained. Okay. So with this we have completed the unit 1. So the review of unit 1. So whatever we have discussed till now from the past few lectures. So the first one is we have defined estimation and costing, and importance and purpose of estimation have been discussed, and we have acquired the data for preparing an estimate, and we have seen the work breakdown structure of the estimation, and we have seen units of measurement of different items of work. I think in the Excel sheet I have explained this, and the same Excel sheet has been shared in your MCL. And next one is we have defined various terms in estimation in the last class, that are plinth area, carpet area, floor area, etc. All these things have been explained. Along with that, some approvals like administrative sanction, expenditure sanction, and then technical sanction. All these things have been explained in this. And stating the importance and accuracy of estimation. However, accuracy is very important. We have seen the tolerances of length 0.01 meter, and area as 0.01 meter square, and volume as 0.01 meter cube. We have seen the accuracies there. And various errors in estimation. We have seen manual errors and some critical errors and errors in estimation of cost. We have seen. So, and various types of estimates, some like abstract estimate, revised supplementary estimate, repair and maintenance estimate, detailed estimate, item rate estimate. So there are some 9 types of estimates, so which we have seen. So in the last one, last lectures, technical terms in estimation, which I have discussed today, work charge establishments, contingencies, schedule of rates, and tools and plans. And we have discussed about quantity surveying, and explained the role of quantity surveyor. So, and the final one is we have stated the rules and methods of measurement. So these are the all the lecture outcomes of unit 1. So these are combined together, and this is the achieved course outcome. So these are the lecture outcomes, then the individual course outcome has been achieved. That is, we have listed out various components, estimations, and units of measurements of different works. So all these combined together to form the single course outcome like this. Okay. So this course outcome has been achieved with this. I completed the first unit. Okay. So these are the some of the references which I have used. Some people are asking me where I am taking the pictures. So this is freepik.com, where we can download the images. So that's it, and thank you.